In this session we're going to cover one of the principles of lean, the 7 wastes, and give you some examples of how they might apply in your business. First of all, before we go into the wastes and how they apply, we need to define just what we mean by waste and what we mean by value. So we have 3 elements of work. First one is value-added activities. So an activity that transforms or shapes material or information. The customer wants it and it's done right first time. That's a value-added activity. That's something the customer is willing to pay for. Second element of work could be required but still non-value-added activities. So activities that cause no value but which cannot be eliminated based on existing technology, equipment or thinking. These could be regulatory, customer mandated or legal. They could be necessary because of the risk tolerance, buffer, etc. And the third element that the work could fall into is waste or non-value added activity. These are activities that the customer isn't willing to pay for. They consume resources but create no value in the eyes of the customer. So to determine which ones they are, always ask yourself, would you be willing to pay for this task or activity if you were buying the product? So, the 7 wastes of lean. First one, overproduction. This is producing more than is required, and this in turn leads to the second one, inventory, which has to be stored, it has to be moved around. Using the third one, transportation. The fourth waste, over-processing. That's processing beyond the requirements of the customer. Fifth one, waiting. That's waiting around for the previous process to complete so you can carry on. Waiting for parts, waiting for raw materials, waiting for paperwork. Sixth one, operator motion. So it's excessive motion in carrying out the task or process. And the 7th one, defects. This leads to rework. There's an old saying that there's never enough time to do the job properly, but there's always enough time to do it again. So defects is one of the killer wastes that can lead to many of the other ones. And of course you have the 8th waste, which is human potential. The waste of human potential, or not using the human potential that you have within your business. Your people are your biggest asset, and not using them to the full potential, not utilising their skills properly, is the biggest waste of all. Okay, so that's from a manufacturing point of view. If we look at an office, still have the same 7 wastes, and they'll still be visible, but probably in the reverse order. So you'll see defects first, then inventory, over-processing, waiting, motion, transportation and overproduction. They do apply in the office and in support processes. So we'll go through them one by one. So first of all, defects. The definition of this, any rework of product or information is waste. So to eliminate it, let's establish standard work procedures and forms, put one best ways into place, user guides and do some mistake proofing. Next waste, inventory. This is excess stock of anything, extra copies, extra supplies, extra files, etc. To eliminate this one, produce only enough to satisfy the work requirements of the customer. It may be that you want to put a small buffer in there depending on the value of your processes. Standardise work locations and quantities. Eliminate queues. So over-processing. These are efforts that create no value from the customer's viewpoint. So make sure all the reports that are needed. Eliminate the repeated manual entry of data, update out-of-date standard forms, check that the correct software is being used. As for waiting, again, this is waiting for people, paper, machines, information. To get around this, review and standardise signatures, cross-train so that work can continue to flow even if someone is out or busy. Balance the workload, make sure the equipment and supplies are always available. Motion. All motion should add value to the product or service for the customer. Ineffective layouts or processes create more walking and reaching than are necessary. So to eliminate this, standardise your folders, drawers, cabinets, locations, colour code as much as possible. Arrange files and information for easy reference. Arrange work areas into equipment into central areas. Transportation. This is the moving of materials and information from place to place, using temporary locations, for example. So to get around this, make the distance travelled as short as possible. Eliminate temporary locations. Review the office layout. Look where you're wearing down the carpet. Duplicate equipment if an analysis of savings supports it. And overproduction. Producing a product, service or information before the customer needs it. So establish a workflow sequence geared towards a downstream customer. Create standards, metrics, create signal devices or add-ons. And if you want to go and identify these wastes within your business, do a Gemba walk. Go to the Gemba, the place where the value's added. So get hands on, get out there, focus on a different waste each time you go out. Walk the area and see where the waste is. Look, listen, ask, get the data. Don't believe what people tell you, believe what they show you. Share what you saw. Share these with everyone within your business. Think of easy ways to solve it. The expertise will be out in the Gemba. It won't be in the heads of the managers. It will be out on the floor, in the place where the value is added. Get some good 5S principles in place so that things can be highlighted and clearly visible, so that waste becomes visible, the hidden becomes obvious. And also don't forget to highlight the good things as well. Thank you very much.